All right, you are right in time for our next conversation, this being Women at the Forefront. Our topic of conversation today is on peace and security in Africa, and we're specifically having a look on women's participation in peace processes. How does that look like, and where do we begin, and where are we so far? What better way to do it other than to have this conversation with the AU Special Envoy for Women, Peace and Security, Her Excellency Ambassador Liberata Mula Mula. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. And thank you, Vivian.
It's a pleasure to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
Let's get talking about this. You know, first of all, maybe we can just set the pace by first understanding your mandate, or the mandate of the office that you hold.
Yeah, thank you. Let me say I'm so happy to be here this morning in this morning program. I am the, as you said, I'm the Special Envoy of the African Union Chairpersons on Women, Peace and Security. This office was established way back in 2014. And I must say also it took the courage of a woman and the first woman chairperson of the African Union, Madam Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. She because we have the African Union Peace and Security Architecture. But then she realized there was a gap. There was a missing link. That there was no women participation or recognizing the role of women in implementing the African Union Peace and Security Architecture. So that's when she came up and said, we need to have an office dedicated to the women, peace and security, and in advancing the full and meaningful participation of women in the all Africa Union Peace and Security Architecture. So I'm the second, because my predecessor was holding in that office for almost 8 years, 10 years. So I assumed my role a year ago, and this why I'm also happy that I'm here as I'm celebrating 1 year since my appointment
in office.
And I also wanted, of course, to thank the AU chairperson, Ambassador Mahmoud Yusuf, who had showed confidence in me to hold this office. So let me also say that the mandate of this office is specifically to follow full implementation of the Women, Peace and Security agenda to support the African member states in implementing their national action plans. We'll come to that to explain, because every member state has an action plan, not all of them, but they have an action plan in implementing the Women, Peace and Security agenda. But also our role is to promote women's leadership in peace processes across the continent.
And maybe just, you know, from that, what does it look like in practical terms? You know, how does that look like?
In practical terms and in short, the role of my office is to bridge the gap between the policy commitments that have been made at the continental level and at the national level to ensure that the commitments made under various frameworks, including the famous Maputo Protocol on women's rights, the most comprehensive legal instrument, but also in following up the Agenda 2063 of the Africa we want, because that recognized the important role of women and youth, and of course the citizens of Africa in determining the destiny of our continent. So we position ourselves in those key policy frameworks and legal instruments, but also the mandate of my office is anchored within the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 that was adopted in 2000 we have been celebrating 25 years of that important resolution because it was the first of its kind that recognized the importance of participation of women in all peace processes. It recognized the need for protection, recognized the need for prevention, but also recognized the important role of women in relief and recovery, in short, in peace building processes. So in short, in practical ways, my office is anchored around these normative legal frameworks and of course the important UN Security Council Resolution 1325.
All right, very well put. Now I want us to understand the current situation. You know, from where you stand, what is the current situation of women in peace and security, specifically in the continent?
Yeah, I must say, in fact, the situation we are in the continent has underscored the urgency of the women in peace and security agenda, because we have witnessed the increased, of course, conflicts, the complexity of the situations, of the conflict situations around the continent. We have also witnessed the emerging threats to peace and security, where women, of course, are victims, but at the same time, they are playing, have been playing, and they are playing an important role to keep to hold the community, keep the communities together, but also intervene in reconciliation, but also in trying to mediate through the disputes, but also being peace builders. So I'm saying what we are witnessing today has underscored the importance of having women participate in the peace processes at the community level. Because we know that without the women participating, and this is what led to pushing this agenda, you cannot have sustainable peace and security at the exclusion of almost half of the population. And then say you'll have sustainable peace and security. So in the situation we are facing today, it has even underlined the importance of including women in resolving the problems we are facing in the continent.
And I also have to point out that, you know, there's something that still remain a concern. Specifically, if I can also just speak for Kenya, matters femicide, matters gender-based violence. This has been a conversation we've been having over and over. I think from especially the year 2022, we've been having this conversation on femicide, and the numbers still keep rising. So it's a major concern. And I believe generally, even across the region, matters gender-based violence is still a concern. So maybe where are the gaps on that specifically, and what more should we do? Because I feel like we talk about this, we keep talking about it, but unfortunately, we don't see the changes.
Yeah, in fact, you have raised an important question, because we talk about it. Who is talking about it? Because, again, the most affected are the women. But who listens to them? Because that is also the role of my office, to bring the voices and the living realities and experience of these women in the decision-making process, in the debate, in the old conversation. They are not there. Those most affected. We always purport to speak for them. And of course, I said, if at the elitist level, between me and you, Vivian, we talk about it. But then how does that impact the women on the ground? This is the major challenge. And this is where also my office, the Office of the Special Envoy, is trying to be that bridge between what is committed at the political level, of course at your levels, and bring it at the grassroots level, at the community level. So this is, we would be talking, of course we are here in the studio, we are talking about it, we all know. I always say, we know the what, we know the why, we know when it has happened, but we really seriously to address the how. because I have seen we have engaged at all levels. We have engaged also the religious leaders who have a faith-based organization. They have many followers. So we want them to speak out against these vices, against the gender-based violence, conflict-related violence. We don't hear them talking much about it. So this is why I said it takes all of us to ensure that we put an end to some of these harmful practices and the femicide you have mentioned.
Yeah, and you know, just from that, it's clear that one of the gaps we have is participation, and participation from the grassroots levels. Maybe what are some other gaps that you can point out that maybe we should work on filling in?
Yeah, we have, because the most, maybe the gaps, of course, is what you have mentioned, the social barriers, the patriarchal barriers. But where we are seeing the gaps in terms of implementation, it is about, of course, translating those commitments into action, into practice. We have seen the gaps in terms of financing. We say we should put the money where our mouth is. You have member states adopting national action plans. As I'm speaking, we have about almost 40 countries have adopted national action plans. But then they are least resourced in terms of implementation. So that is where the gap also, even including our partners, just to recognize that we have very good blueprint, these action plans, but they are not resourced. But three, we have the gap in terms of inclusiveness. Because we purport that we have, and you always say, we credit ourselves of having this good policy documents. But then who is implement, who is involved, who is included, from the planning itself to the implementation. So this is where we see a gap that usually, if they bring in the communities, maybe the women, the youth, as an add-on, as an afterthought, they have to be involved from the very beginning. If it is negotiations, they have to be part and parcel of the negotiations. They have, so that gap between what has been agreed at the table and implementation is filled with inclusiveness at the very beginning, at the planning stage. But most important, as they say, the elephant in the room is financing. And to see this as a priority. Yes, because sometimes, I'm sorry, at the national level, we see that most of these issues we are talking about, whether it's gender violence, whether it's women, peace and security, are always relegated to the ministries of gender that are least resourced. So until we put money where it is needed, until these are seen as priorities, then we'll continue to see the gap between policy commitments and implementation.
Would you say we have enough policies and good policies in place, you know, just to be able to curb this?
Yes, we have enough. I must say this at the Africa level, our African Union level. I think it's the only institution, regional institution, continental institution, that has all what we need in terms of, as I said, policy commitment, in terms of normative frames, in terms of legal instrument binding. And recently, African Union adopted the first ever convention on ending violence against women and girls. This was adopted last year in February 2025. But then to have this convention come into force, it requires a minimum of 50 countries to ratify it. Because when you talk of ratification, to make it part and parcel of their national laws, their national legislation. But as I'm speaking, out of 55 African Union member states, only 9 have signed it.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. We have the instrument, but then when it comes to practical.
The implementation. Yeah.
And the political will. This is where also the political will, that's where also the gap is. So my office, and together with our sister departments, we are trying to push. Because our role of my office is mostly on advocacy for implementation of what has been committed. So we are also pushing through, and we would like also to use this opportunity to help us advocate for the implementation of those commitments made, including this important convention on ending violence against women and girls.
I hear you on that. Now, I know we've mentioned the gaps that are still there, the challenges that we are facing as a continent at the moment, but also I'm sure there has been progress.
Yes.
Can we touch on the progress that we've made this far?
Yes, that's why I really want, I'm glad you brought it, because we always talk of challenges or problems, but it's also progress. There's a positive side of what has been achieved. So far, I must say, of course, I mentioned that the member states, almost 40 of them, have committed themselves to advance this important agenda of women, peace and security by adopting their national action plans. And my office is following up to make sure that these are really implemented, but also building their capacity through the training programs, and to ensure, because member states are required to report on the implementation of their national action plans. And as I'm speaking, more member countries are reporting, because we have what we call this important tool called the Continental Result Framework, which has performance indicators, which has also shows the gaps, what has been done, what needs to be done. So when they report, then my office is able to synthesize what the countries have achieved, the scorecards. You know, the scorecards are various columns. You have the green, the yellow, the red. The red mark are getting less and less because really countries are really recognizing the important role of the women in implementing their programs. But also we have seen a increasing number of women in peacekeeping forces. I'm speaking like in Tanzania. I think they are leading in terms of the number of women that are participating in peacekeeping operations, including of course countries like Rwanda, Burundi. So that is also was unheard of. And they are both in the military and the civilian component of the peacekeeping forces. And then we have also seen many women-led organizations for peace building at the community level. There are various initiatives. Through my office, we have been visiting, through the solidarity missions, these conflict-affected countries, to engage women, to engage the national authorities, to engage partners. What we have realized, Vivian, women are so organized. They are ready to push the peace agenda. But then, unfortunately, of course, they are left out. They are not visible, but they are doing a lot. So this is also one of the positive elements. They are not crying, they are not whining that we are victims, but they have decided to take responsibility to ensure that the communities are holding, to ensure that the children are going to school. You see women, because being entrepreneurs, innovators, peace builders. If you ask any woman, even in the conflict-affected countries, the little they are doing in the marketplaces, they would say, I'm doing this to ensure that my children go to school, to ensure that our communities stabilize, to ensure that we hold together our families. So this is one of the progress we have seen, that are women assuming responsibilities rather than just whining as victims. So this is one of the progress I wanted to share with you. We have seen also inclusion of the women leaders in the peace processes. I'm here in Nairobi. I think this is in 1 month, it's been almost 3 times. This is in engaging the women leaders in the peace processes, especially in the DRC. We have the former presidents, because through the initiatives of the South African community, SADC, and now African Union led, they formed a panel of facilitators. At first, they were men only. The criteria that they have to be former presidents or former heads of state or vice president. Then through my office, and of course sister departments, we pushed, we said if the criteria is former heads of state, we have the women former heads of state, including the former president of Ethiopia, Her Excellency, Madam Sahle-Work Zewde. We have the former president of the Central African Republic, who held the office in that difficult period of transition as the president. I said, I mean, we have them. We have the former vice president of Uganda. We have the presidents. I said, if that's the criteria, then you have to put to include. They have included them. So you have the team of facilitators, 5 of them, including President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President of Botswana, the former President of Nigeria, and these women. So we have seen progress. It is the first time that you have these women leaders sitting together with their colleagues, former heads of state, to find the solution to the DRC problem. Yes.
So there's clearly progress at the end of the day.
Yes, there is really. And this, of course, I'm saying this, I also want to thank you for this opportunity. So people didn't know the progress we are making, despite the challenges, but there have been progress. So we have made any progress in policy, in advocacy, but now we need to move faster. We need agents of implementation, of course, better resourced and accountability.
Yeah, I want to get back to the national action plans that 40 countries have already, adopted it, right?
Yes.
What makes it effective?
First and foremost, the adoption of these national action plans demonstrates the political commitment to advance this important women, peace and security agenda at the national level. And what is also unique is that there is no cut and paste in terms of these national action plans. They are tailored, developed according to the existing circumstances. Because if you take, for example, the national action plan by Tanzania and the national action plans by, say, DRC, they cannot be the same.
Of course.
So they have been tailored to your fit. So, and also to realize that you don't need the national action plan on women, peace and security where there is no war. Because at first, I remember in Tanzania, I was part of one of, they would say, but we don't have no war, we have that peace, why do we need this? But then, later they had to understand that peace does not necessarily mean absence of war. There are many components of peace. For example, we spoke about this sexual gender-based violence. It happens even in times of peace. We have the women who are suffering in prisons, just for minor profit. So those are the issues.
I'll ask you to hold that thought for a moment. We take a short commercial break and then we'll be back to continue with this conversation. Don't go too far. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now I'll get back to, back to you, Ambassador. Before we took that break, you were talking about some of the components of peace. When we talk about peace, sometimes people assume you need to be at war to be able to say that this country is not peaceful, but there's more to that.
Exactly.
If you can just continue with
it. Yeah, in fact, this is why I said what we like is to see that national action plans are tailored in the local context. They identify, of course, the actions to be taken, the responsible institutions, timelines, and the expected results. We have also seen that the emerging national action plan take into account the emerging new threats of security, peace and security. For example, the climate change, which has also become a source of conflict in terms of course, land issues, but also scarcity of water, where women especially are exposed to very unsafe, they would walk miles, but also communities fighting over this scarce resource. So this has also been included in the national action plans. But also, we have seen the new national action plans, also they have taken into account the new forms of violence, the technology facilitated violence, the now. Digital, now online. So this is what was never thought of before, but now it has become an element that is considered in advancing the women peace and security. How do we tackle these new emerging threats? So we have also seen that the good, I must say, a good national plan brings together the government, the civil society. Because in the past, if we have the government, because these are national action plans, are governments, but they will not include civil society. But now they have seen the important role of this civil society organizations that are more community-based and grassroots-based, but also brings together all the important institutions, development partners. In the past, it was like it is women business. But I've seen the new national action plans are multi-sectoral. For example, again, because I come from Tanzania, I give live examples from Tanzania. The national action plan that was adopted last year, it was led or launched by the leadership of the Defense Ministry. It was launched at the Institute of Peacekeeping, for example. So you can see that it's not only about women issues, but it is the national priority issue that cuts across, that's mainstreamed. So this, I said, it also creates a basis for accountability. Because if you don't have a plan, it's very difficult to know what is being implemented, who is responsible, what resources are needed, and what progress is being made. So this is why even my office puts a lot of emphasis on having this effective national action plan as a tool from commitment to action. Because without that, it will be talk over talk. We have to walk the talk.
We need to walk the talk. I agree with you on that.
And this national action plan are part of the tools to walk the talk. And they have shown that with these plans, it has kept the women peace security agenda alive and as one of the national priorities.
All right. Maybe how do we also get to involve men in this, and what role do they get to play?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you brought out that, because we say this women peace and security agenda is not about only women. Everyone has a role to play. Through my office, we had an initiative called Positive Masculinity in advancing the women peace and security agenda, identifying, we call them he for she champions, that have really at the highest level, at the community level, that we cannot go it alone and expect that this would be sustainable at the exclusion of men and boys. So my office, in advancing this agenda, and this is why even today, I'm accompanied by only men from my office. I have men and women, but the movers and shakers in my office, I call them constructive Gen Z. But these are men, are boys and men. And that's what makes this, energizes the agenda. Because otherwise we'll be playing in the stereotypes that these are women issues. And of course, when I was told Vivian will be hosting this, I said, I hope we are not, we're not contribute to the stereotype that these are women issues. But everyone has a role. As I said, whether it's men, whether it's religious leaders, but more important, the media. The media. Throughout my career, I've always said the media are the key stakeholders. They are the partners, they are the voice. In Tanzania, we used to have a program, sema usikike.
Okay.
Who will hear me if it not through you? Because as I said, I've been here for meetings, but we are in closed doors, we are in the four walls. No one hears what we have been speaking about. And we have been speaking about very important issues, especially under this agenda of women, peace and security, in advancing the peace processes in DRC and the other conflict-affected countries.
Yeah.
So I said, everyone has a role to play in this, to be able to achieve this. And as the UN Women says, the motto and the commitment is leaving no one behind, including men and boys.
We leave no one behind.
No one behind, yes.
All right, as we almost come to a conclusion of this conversation, what would success look like in all of this? You know, when it comes to women, peace and security in Africa, what does that success look like? Paint that picture for us.
Yes, in fact, the success, you'll see it from the challenges and the gaps we have said. Once, the success will be seen once we see women are taken as key actors in the peace processes. And as we say, once we see the women, not in terms, I mean, symbolic, because we have always numbers, oh, you know, we have included women, we have 2 women, so to move from being a statistic, but being a normal practice, that wherever there are issues, fundamental issues that affect peace and security, that affect livelihoods, that affect the safety of communities, women are there. They are not there as a favor or just an option, but as an essential players and actors in this. This is where success would be measured. And as others say, to be at the table and not on the menu. That would be success. But 2 would mean that women and girls, of course, in your community, whether boys, you know, they are protected against gender-based violence.
Yeah.
But also to measure how women are involved in terms of participation in leadership in all these processes. It doesn't have to be always men. I know, of course, men, they create the mess. But then we come in to clear the mess. But we can lead these processes. Where I see women are in leadership in these processes, this is where we see we have made it. Because like my office, because it's women, peace and security, it's being led by the women. But if I see that we are working together with men, that is a success in one day. But also, finally, we spoke about the national action plans. The success would be, 1, that we have them full financed, fully implemented, and monitored. And most importantly, let me say success would mean that women in conflict-affected communities can live in safety, in dignity, and participate in decision-making and contribute fully in building peace.
Yeah.
Because we say peace in Africa will not be sustainable if it's not inclusive. And peace is stronger and sustainable when women lead. It's why we said when women lead, peace reigns. So this is where I will say in my lifetime that we will stop struggling and pushing. That it just, because no one ever counts how many men are there. Yeah. So I want to come to a position where it becomes normal. But it's not about the numbers or counting every time if we have a woman or women at the table. This is, I hope, we'll be able to see it in our lifetime as we saw the first woman president in Tanzania. I never thought I would live to see the first woman president, Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan in Tanzania. Yeah. It can be done.
Okay. Yeah. Your final remarks.
Yes. Let me have key messages. First of all, as I said, of course, we need political will in this. So my message to the leaders that women participation is not optional. It's essential for sustainable peace, security and development, and the future of Africa, or the future of peace in Africa, must be inclusive. When women participate, as I said, peace is stronger. When women are protected, communities are safer. When women lead, societies benefit. And to the listeners today, let me say, women, peace and security is not only about women. It is about the kind of societies we need to build. And within the agenda of Africa 2063, the Africa we want. This agenda is about building societies that are peaceful, that are just, inclusive, and dignified for all. So my message is, women are not only victims of conflict, and this is where the media, I did want you to change the narrative. Not always to project women as victims of conflicts. We want to be projected as leaders, as negotiators, as mediators, as protectors, and innovators, and peace builders.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you
that is where we get to end this conversation. It was a pleasure having you grace our segment this morning. This is where we end this conversation. That was the African Union Special Envoy for Women, Peace and Security, Her Excellency Ambassador Mula Mula. Don't go too far. We're taking a break, but we'll be back and we'll be having a conversation on more or less the same thing, but now on grassroots, at grassroots levels. We'll be looking at safe spaces and stronger communities. Stay with us.